The Fox and the Cat. Once upon a time, in a dense, lush forest, there lived two very different animals. One was a clever fox named Felix, and the other was a simple, humble cat named Clara. Felix, the fox, was known throughout the forest for his wit and cunning ways. He had an endless array of tricks up his sleeve and could outsmart almost anyone. Clara, on the other hand, was not as clever, but she was kind-hearted and content with the simple life she led. Felix often boasted about his intelligence and his many schemes. He had a quick wit and a sharp mind, and he was always thinking of new ways to outmaneuver the other animals. He would slyly slip in and out of the henhouse, snatch a chicken, and be gone before anyone even noticed. Felix was proud of his cleverness and liked to remind everyone that he was the smartest animal in the forest. Clara, the cat, was a much more modest creature. She didn't have the same tricks or schemes that Felix had. In fact, she spent most of her time lounging in the sun, hunting mice, and enjoying the simple pleasures of life. She didn't need to boast about her skills or accomplishments. She was happy with what she had and didn't seek to prove anything to anyone. One sunny afternoon, Felix and Clara happened to meet while they were both strolling along the same forest path. Felix, as usual, was puffed up with pride and eager to share his latest accomplishment. "Ah, Clara," Felix said with a sly smile, "I see you're taking a break from your usual lazy afternoon. I've been outwitting the other animals yet again. Just this morning, I stole a plump hen from the farmer's coop, and no one saw a thing. It's just too easy for someone as clever as me." Clara looked up at Felix, listening with a gentle smile. She was content with her life and didn't have the urge to boast like Felix did. "That's nice, Felix," she said softly. "I'm sure it's very impressive. But I don't need to steal hens to feel proud of myself. I'm happy with the simple things." Felix laughed, his sharp eyes gleaming. "Simple things, Clara? Oh, you poor thing. You're so naive. Don't you see? It's wit and intelligence that get you ahead in life. It's the clever ones who thrive. I can always think of a new trick, a new scheme. What do you have, Clara? You're just a cat who spends her days napping." Clara, though a little hurt by Felix's words, remained calm. "Felix," she said, her voice steady, "I may not have all the tricks you do, but I know how to keep myself safe. I may not be as clever as you, but I know how to avoid trouble, and I'm not always trying to prove something to others." Felix snorted, his tail flicking with impatience. "Avoid trouble? That's not living, Clara. You have to take risks. You have to outwit everyone around you to succeed. How else can you get ahead in the world?" Just then, a loud rustling sound came from behind them. Felix's sharp ears perked up. He immediately knew what it was. A pack of dogs was running through the forest, sniffing the ground, looking for a scent. Felix's mind raced, and in a flash he devised a plan. "I'll show you how it's done, Clara," he said with a grin. "Watch me escape from these dogs, and you'll see just how clever I am." Before Clara could respond, Felix darted off into the bushes with remarkable speed, using his quick thinking to evade the dogs. Clara watched him go, her eyes thoughtful. The dogs, however, were relentless. They were fast and determined, and Felix had to run harder than ever to stay ahead of them. Meanwhile, Clara remained calm, knowing that she didn't need to outrun the dogs. She just needed to be careful. She spotted a nearby tree and quickly climbed up to a branch high enough that the dogs couldn't reach her. From her perch, she watched Felix's frantic escape. Felix, who had been using his clever tricks to outmaneuver the dogs, soon realized that he had let himself into a tight spot. The dogs were gaining on him, and no matter how many tricks he tried, he couldn't seem to escape. His heart raced as he darted into a dense thicket, trying to lose them, but the dogs followed relentlessly. Felix was exhausted, and his mind was growing frantic. Clara, perched safely in her tree, watched with a sense of calm. She knew the dogs couldn't get to her, and she also knew that eventually Felix's tricks would only get him so far. She trusted in her ability to stay safe without needing to rely on schemes. Finally, after what felt like hours, Felix spotted Clara sitting calmly in the tree. He had no choice but to call out to her, "Clara, help me! These dogs are going to catch me. What should I do?" Clara looked down at him, a soft smile on her face. "Felix, you were so busy showing off your clever tricks that you didn't stop to think. Sometimes it's not about outsmarting everyone. It's about knowing when to avoid danger. I've been here safe and sound because I knew how to stay calm and take shelter. You, on the other hand, were so focused on proving your cleverness that you almost got caught. Safety are just as important as being clever." Felix's eyes widened in realization. He had been so caught up in his own pride that he hadn't considered the simple solution of finding safety. He had relied on his wit, but it had failed him in this moment. "You're right, Clara," he admitted, feeling embarrassed. "I thought my tricks could get me out of anything, but I see now that sometimes it's the simple things that matter most." After a while, the dogs grew tired and gave up the chase, retreating into the forest. Felix, exhausted and humbled, approached the tree where Clara was perched. "Thank you for your help," he said sheepishly. "I guess I have a lot to learn from you." Clara looked down at him kindly. "It's not about being clever, Felix. It's about being wise and knowing when to take a step back. You don't always need to prove how smart you are. Sometimes, being simple and cautious is the best way to stay safe." Felix, having learned a valuable lesson, nodded thoughtfully. From that day forward, he didn't boast as much about his clever tricks, and he began to appreciate the simple, wise approach to life that Clara embodied. While he still loved using his wit, he learned that sometimes it was better to simply stay calm and think things through. And as for Clara, she continued to live her quiet, contented life in the forest, knowing that wisdom often lay in the simplest of things. The end. Moral of the story. The story of the fox and the cat teaches us that while cleverness and wit can be valuable, sometimes it is the simple, wise approach that is the most effective. It shows us that overconfidence and pride can lead us into trouble, and that being calm, cautious, and knowing when to seek